It's Jason with drpremed.com, and I know you're a pre-med student, and that day has finally arrived. That day that you always heard about, known about, and that's the back of the mind of every pre-med student. You're preparing for the medical college admissions test. This is the make or break test that's going to determine whether you get into medical school, and for some of you, what type of medical school you get into. This is a test that you need to take extremely seriously, and as one of my mentors from the University of Chicago Pritzker School of Medicine said, who sits on admissions of the committee of the medical school, also is the provost of the university, and also is an MD, PhD, and is an anesthesiologist, he said the MCAT's a test you want to take once and only once. And so knowing that, you need to be totally prepared for the MCAT and do everything in your power to excel on this test. You need to give it your all. You need to do everything possible to make this your goal to do very well in the MCAT and have a high percentile score that makes you a competitive applicant to medical school. Because if you don't have a competitive score, you're not going to get into medical school. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I just need to inform you what actually takes place when admissions committees are deciding who they're going to invite to a medical school interview and who they're going to accept into medical school. Unfortunately, what happens is your grades matter, and so does your MCAT score. But how adcoms work out this process is they receive over 780,000 applications each year. So each medical school, they can receive anywhere from 5 to 15,000 applications each year. And they need a way to whittle that down into a manageable number of applications to actually review. So what happens is there's computers. Those computers are programmed to have minimum cutoff scores. So therefore, if you don't meet the minimum cutoff that computer's been programmed to receive, your application gets tossed aside. It gets rejected. No human even takes a look at your application. So all those extracurricular activities that you were doing, all the volunteering that you were doing, all your personal statement that you worked so hard on, that means nothing. Nobody cares what type of person you are, what type of potential you have. It's just out the window because you didn't meet one of the bare minimum thresholds, and that's having a competitive MCAT score. So that's why you need to take the MCAT extremely seriously. And I'm here to help you in that process because I want to see you get into medical school. Now, what I'm finding is a lot of students, they want to take the MCAT because they need to get into medical school, and they're using commercial prep courses. That's fine and dandy, but what I'm finding out is students who use those prep courses still aren't getting the scores that they want. They'll tell me after they took the MCAT, they're like, Jason, wow, there were things on that test I never expected. They asked questions I would never even have thought to think about, or they posed things in ways that just seemed like it came totally out of left field. And now I have this less than stellar MCAT score. I don't know what I need to do. Do I need to reapply for the MCAT and take it over again? Because I'm just concerned. And for a lot of students, unfortunately, even with the commercial prep courses, they're not doing well enough, and they will have to reapply and take the MCAT over again because it's just not where it needs to be competitive for medical school. I don't want this to happen to you. I know you don't want to go through that process of going into that exam room being very stressed out, anxious, not knowing what's going to happen, and then submitting your score, waiting the 3 to 4 weeks or so, the 30 days or so, and just very anxious and not sure what's going to happen, and then finding out when you log into the AAMC website to take a look at your score report, finding out that you did significantly worse than what you were expecting or anticipating, and now you just don't know what you're going to do, and you're contacting me trying to figure out what's plan B and what are the next steps that you can do to make sure that you actually get into medical school. And I would hate to be the one that says, well, looking at things, you need to reapply for the MCAT, or you definitely can't apply to medical school this year. You're going to have to take a year out, and you need to sit down and restudy for the MCAT, figure out what went wrong, and just make some significant changes so that you can do well in the MCAT. I know that's not what you want to hear. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to have all your classmates and friends moving ahead to medical school, to interviews and all of that stuff while you're stuck at home or figuring out what are the next steps to get into medical school yourself, knowing that the MCAT's the one factor that's preventing you from getting into medical school. And so So I have a way, I have a system that's going to help you so that you don't have to go through all of this stress and drama and really put yourself in solid footing to do well on the MCAT. What I have is I have a program called the MCAT Mastery Companion Course, and that name says a lot. It's going to teach you how to master the MCAT, and since it's a companion course, it's a video course that you can either use if you're studying independently or if you're using a commercial MCAT prep course. It goes hand in hand with either way. And why that's possible is because in my MCAT Mastery course, I'm not teaching you MCAT science. So I'm not going to go there and teach you how to do physics problems, how to do orgo problems, and know the difference between SN1, SN2 reactions, all of that, or biochemistry and the pathways associated with the Krebs cycle and everything affiliated with that. And you have to know all of those aspects. I feel that as a pre-med student, you have that knowledge base, you have that foundation in the sciences from your pre-med coursework, but what you need test-taking strategies, you need study skills and tips that you can apply so that you can actually excel on the MCAT, because the MCAT is a conceptual test. It's not a test of what you can memorize and regurgitate back on the exam. That would be too easy. Everybody would say, okay, these are the facts you need to memorize, and if you memorize them, you're going to get a top MCAT score that's going to make you competitive. That's not how the MCAT's shaped. You have people who are experts in their specific area who are writing questions for you for the MCAT, and then you have a psychologist who's going to go rework and reword those questions that were written to make you, unfortunately, to reward you for what you would think is a correct answer, which isn't the best answer choice. And that's what happens. And that's why kids get hung up when they're taking the MCAT, because they don't realize what's going on, the game being played around them. Unfortunately, with the MCAT, it's more than just, oh, did you memorize? We want to know, can you take these facts and figures, can you apply them to situations that you've never seen before and actually do well on it? That's what the MCAT's doing, because as a physician, yes, you have patients who present, and they're not always going to be textbook cases. You have to think, you need to interpret lab values, what the history is telling you, and put that all together to formulate your differential diagnosis, and then come up with what you think is the most plausible diagnosis for your patient. That's what medicine is, and that's why you have barriers of entry to get into medical school, such as the MCAT, because we want to make sure that the people who are allowed to treat patients actually have that ability and capability to cure those patients, or at least direct them to the most appropriate care that they would need. So that's what's going on with the MCAT for you. And I know you're stressed out and you're probably thinking, this is high level thinking. What am I actually going to get from my MCAT Mastery Companion Course? I'll just tell you some of the things that's in that course. And one of the first things I do for any student who's taking the MCAT, whether you're doing a commercial course or you're studying on your own, I want you to take a diagnostic MCAT exam. I want you to do this before you open a book, before you review your lecture notes, before you watch any online videos, because you need to have a baseline. You need to know where you're starting at. I know for a lot of people, when they do this, their score is horrible. They feel demoralized, and I want you to feel bad. I want you to feel horrible, because that's going to motivate you to study, to go through the material, and really know that you have a big hill to climb, but you can climb that hill and get the score that you need to be competitive for medical school. So the first thing you need to do is take a diagnostic MCAT, and that's going to tell you where you stand at. And then once you take the diagnostic MCAT, you need to go over it and figure out what are your weak points and start attacking your weak points. You can't A lot of students want to do what's comfortable for them. You can't do that when you're studying for the MCAT. You got to go in hard, and all the things that you don't want to study, that you procrastinate, that you're horrible at, that's where you need to spend your time, because that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck when you're actually taking the test. Because think about it. If you're scoring 80% in biology, why would you spend all your time studying biology? You can only improve 20%. Whereas if you're doing biochemistry and chemistry and orgo, and you're only scoring 40%, even if you don't even improve all the way up to 100%, you get up to 80 or 90%, you're seeing a 40% to 50% improvement in your overall MCAT score. And that can make a huge difference in how you score and your percentile ranking on the exam. So that's why you really need to take the time to go in and attack your weakest areas. And with my MCAT Mastery Companion course, I give you all these strategies and tips. And I also break down how I want you to study for the MCAT. I want you to do everything in thirds. So 33.33%. Obviously, you can carry that over for how long you want, but in thirds, you need to spend a third of your time studying your weakest areas. You need to spend a third of your time studying regular MCAT content using the review sheets and content outlines, and then you need to spend a 30% of your time reviewing previous information that you already studied. With that, if you do that cycle and you carry it through, you're definitely going to see an improvement in your MCAT score and performance. Another component that you need to do is you need to actually, when you're studying, you need to gauge your performance and have metrics to know whether you're making progress or not. Because if you're just studying and not be keeping track of how your performance is, you're not going to know what you're doing. And that's the biggest factor that's really going to help you improve, is knowing what you're doing and seeing how you're doing. You need to know if you're making progress, if you're getting better, if you're getting worse, or you're staying the same. And I have strategies available in my course for you to do that. And I don't want to go talk too much about the course, because I can just go on for days and days. The course is a video course, so you're going to get videos kind of like this, where I'm speaking in front of the camera, letting you know, dropping all this knowledge for you on how to do well in the MCAT. And then there's also, you're going to get PDF files, and you're going to have like ebooks in there as well. So that it's just a whole lot of information in there. It's not so much information that you're going to be overwhelmed and not know where to start, but it's going to be, it's a planned strategy, that it's a roadmap for you for your success on the MCAT, so that you can do well, so you can get that score that you need to be competitive for medical school. And I know one section that a lot of students have trouble with is the cars section. And so I have tips and strategies for that. And I have a lawyer actually who told me how to study for the cars section. Actually, I'll go off on a tangent and tell you I'm identical twin brother. I have my twin, he's an attorney, a lawyer. And so he saw me one time struggling on the cars section. Well, when I took the MCAT, it was verbal section, but the same material, passages and things like that. And he's like, "Oh, why are you struggling for this? This is so easy. This is all lawyers do. We just go through and know how to pick apart the argument, what the author's trying to say, and the inferences that you need to do." And I know for a lot of pre-med students, English and all that reading and writing isn't your strong suit. So I have him, he's going to share a little bit of how you can actually excel in that section. And it was just mind-blowing what he taught me on how to do well on the MCAT. And people are probably wondering, Jason, you're a medical student right now. How do I even know that you know what you're doing and that you can actually help me? Well, I started off with the MCAT. I wasn't the best test taker when I was doing the MCAT study myself, but I worked through the process, and I just put a lot of time and effort into it and asked for help and did everything possible, and just kind of reworked and figured out a system that works with me. And I've been honing it in over the years to now make it available to you. And when I took the MCAT, I did well enough that medical schools were recruiting me based on my MCAT score. I know in particular, I have a letter from Harvard Medical School inviting me to apply because I did so well in the MCAT. And then even when I was interviewing, I was getting compliment on how I did on the MCAT, and even in some of the medical schools that I got accepted into. One of the things I remember this particularly when I was at my medical school, probably in my second or maybe first year. I think it was a first year medical school, maybe a couple weeks into the program, maybe even into um, even into the spring semester. So the admissions director, we're just having a chat, just in general, like to keep in touch with people. He's like, Jason, yeah, one of the reasons you're here, why we really looked at you so strongly and favorably, because how you did at your MCAT, you just had exceptional MCAT scores. And so that kind of just tells you the caliber of what I'm going to bring to the table for you and what I'm going to do for you so that you can excel and have the same type of scores as well and make your goal becoming a doctor a reality. So what I want you to do is this program, this course, the MCAT Mastery Companion Course is now available, and what I need for you to do is go pick it up, open up your wallet, and make this investment in your future so that you can become a doctor. You want to be a doctor, and the first step is getting into medical school. And how you're going to get into medical school is really going to be based on your MCAT score. And I have a program that's made just for you to help you out with that process. And you really need to take it up and use this offer. There's a guarantee 30, 60 days or whatever that you can try it. If it doesn't work for you, if you're not satisfied, return it, no questions asked. But I don't think you're going to return it. I think your mind's going to be blown like the other students have gone through the course and how they've had success. And I want you to be the next success story too, where you're not afraid to open up your AAMC login to see how you did on an MCAT, where you're confident knowing that you did well and that you are going to be on your way to getting into medical school, living your dream of becoming a doctor, being a medical student, your white coat ceremony, treating patients, making yourself proud, making your family proud, and just doing everything that you thought and dreamed that you could do as a medical student going on to be a physician. But it all starts with the MCAT. And so you need to get your hands on the MCAT Mastery Companion Course right now. This is not something that you wait over. This is not something that you debate. This is not something that you have to think about. You know you need to get into medical school, and you know that MCAT's a huge factor, a huge hurdle that needs to be overcome. And so don't wait or think that you need to do something else or you can figure it out on your own. No, that doesn't happen. The people who try to wait or try to figure it out on their own, they're the ones who contacted me, as I said before, who have horrible MCAT scores or it's just below the national averages or percentiles that you need to be competitive, and they're going to have to retake the MCAT. You don't want to go through that process again. I'm offering you a chance to invest in yourself, to do the MCAT and make it once and only once. And so you need to really dig deep, figure out what you want to do, and say, how bad do you want to be a doctor? How bad do you want to be in medical school? And get out your wallet, get out your credit card, speak to mom and dad, whoever's going to help you out with this process, and say, hey, mom and dad, I really need the MCAT Mastery Companion Course because it's going to help me get into medical school. I put a lot of effort over the past couple years as a pre-med student, and I don't want to blow my chance of getting into medical school. This is something that I have complete control over right now because I haven't taken the MCAT or I'm a re-applicant and I just need to do well on this exam right now, and I want to give it everything I have. And I know Jason, student Dr. Spears here, he's really going to help me out with that process. So I'm ready to work with Jason and make this a reality with his video MCAT course that has that guarantee and that's really going to show me the ropes and take my performance to the next level. If that's you, if you really want to be a doctor, if you want to be a physician, you need to not think about it, you need to not talk about it, but you need to put some action into it, put some skin in the game, open up your wallet, do what you need to do to get into medical school, and it all begins with the MCAT. And I'm offering you a chance to invest in yourself to make sure that you're once and done with the MCAT and you don't have to retake it, you don't have to be stressed out and figure out what's plan B going to be because you didn't get into medical school, or you're trying to figure out, do you have enough time to retake the MCAT during this application cycle and still apply? No, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be stressed out. You don't want to be worried about these type of things. Don't let that happen to you. Now's your chance. Now's your opportunity. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. I want you to be a student who's also getting letters for you to apply to be recruited to a medical school because you did so well on the MCAT. That can happen. I want it to happen for you. So go ahead, pick up the MCAT Master Companion Course. It's available. available. It's waiting for you, but don't procrastinate. Move ahead, get where you need to be, because the early bird gets the worm when it comes to applying to medical school, and you need to be the most competitive applicant you can be. And it all starts with the MCAT score. You don't want to be ruled out because of a computer. There's tons and tons of information in this course, but if you're a student and you just need that upper hand and with that competitive edge because you know other students are out there doing everything to excel in the MCAT, this is for you. Again, you can use it whether you're studying alone or if there's commercial prep courses, because I'm teaching you strategies, test-taking skills for the MCAT that I've learned not only for preparing for the MCAT myself, but also as a medical student in this 4th year at this point when I'm giving you this video right now. And there's strategies that I use for my boards, for my shelf exams. A lot of knowledge is in this course, and it's really going to help you. It's not going to overwhelm you, but it's really going to set you on the roadmap and the strategy that you can be to be successful for getting into medical school. I look forward to working with you, hearing your success, and again, all the best. And so go ahead, get your hands on the MCAT Mastery Companion Course, and good luck. You're going to be prepared and you're going to do well because you have all the tools at your disposal in an MCAT Mastery Companion Course.